to Fast and Jarwin's Doctor Who 60th week. Welcome to Fast and Jarwin's podcast, the podcast that talks about Doctor Who and Star Wars, hosted by Lee Craddock. Welcome and hope you enjoy listening to this episode. Welcome back to Fast and Jarwin's. I'm your host Lee, and I'm hoping you're enjoying 60th week. I'm going to share my Doctor Who experiences and talk about significant moments. So this will be from 2005 to the present day. It won't be Classic Who, as I wasn't born during Classic Who, so I have got a bit of Classic Who mentioned in it, so don't you worry. Before I start, I would like to tell you to support the channel if you can. If you like this episode, please like, and if you love every video I do or want to see more, click that subscribe button and hit the notification button so you can keep up to date with all the latest episodes. So I'm going to go back to 2005. I was watching kids programs because I was a kid at the time. There was Basil Brush, ha ha, boom boom, yes him. Trace Speaker and Elaine the Pain, nasty nasty. Raven, by the look of the Raven's eye, may review, never, oh no, and plenty more. Also that year, Russell T Davies, Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper brought back Doctor Who and became a huge hit. Now I don't remember much about the 2005 era because I watched it obviously later on in my Doctor Who tenure, but also Chris left the same year, which was sad, and he was a legend, and I'm just glad that he's starting to get all the love nowadays. He deserves way better. I don't think he got a chance to shine a lot more because what he was given, he did well, but he deserved more, in my personal opinion. But I think the majority of fun is there for Chris. So David Tennant was his replacement, and I watched his mini-sode where he is discovering his identity as 10, and Rose is having a tough time, which is really sad because you can understand what she's gone through. I mean, she's been left behind and then bam, poor girl, she deserves better. 2006 was when it really started for me. So there was a picture in the magazine with David and Billy. Then a trailer where David's asking us to join him on an adventure through space. David being charismatic 10, loved him when he does that. And there was quite a few iconic things in that trailer. For example, you had the werewolf, the ninja monk guys, and of course Matron Cass showing her claws. That trailer is probably why I'm a Whovian today. I watched New Earth and continue to do so for the rest of the second series, and I still think it's impressive. And I didn't watch A Christmas Invasion until after the series when it was on BBC Three. Those were the times, and I remember rewatching certain episodes at the time. 2006 had its highlights, as I said. There was the return of the Cybermen, Elizabeth Sladen becoming Sarah Jane Smith once again, and K9. A cat fight between the Daleks and Cybermen. They were vicious. And the debut of Donna Noble, played by Catherine Tate. She is still iconic to this day, and that's why some of these are why I think Series 2 was so great, and I'm really grateful for that. Yeah. I'm going to go back to Sarah Jane Smith. I am grateful to Elizabeth Sladen for introducing me into Classic Who. And what is special is Elizabeth was my first classic companion, and I watched The Time Warrior first, and you can see my thoughts on it on the channel, so I'll put the link in the description down below for you to check out. I still think it's a classic, plus links, and I'll do that line again. I'll tell you for the last time, I am leaving now. Just so many classic moments. Also, sticking with Sarah Jane for a few minutes, I watched the Sarah Jane Adventures, and I was introduced to Tommy Knight, Daniel Anthony, Sinead Michael, Yasmin Page, and Anjali Mahindra, who will later play a villain in Doctor Who in 2020. Anjali would not be the only one to star in Doctor Who. Tommy would play Luke as he crossed over in the Series 4 finale alongside some very other familiar faces, and he will later make one more appearance in The End of Time. I personally love this show. It's my favourite spin-off, and there is so much emotion in this. I felt there were some iconic villains like Mrs. Wormwood, Androvax, yes, him, Karg, and more. I just felt there were so many good things. For example, it touched on adoption, it touched on divorce, it touched on bereavement. It was a good show, and it was just sad to see it go when it was going to be interesting what they could do next. And I'm so sad that it's over. But Sarah Jane is a legend, and she will live on. Throughout the Russell era, he would cast Frim Ashman as the first black companion, playing Martha Jones. Derek Jacobi and Johnson would become the Master. Of course, there was LGBTQ plus romance, and one of the stories being an adaptation of a novel. He really went for it in his first era. Also, we had Bernard Cribbins playing Wilfred Mott. He would later become a guest companion and also be recurring throughout Series 4. Catherine Tate would return as Donna Noble as well, and she really was a step in the right direction. She improved so much. I like the fact that she was a bit of a complaint at first and then becomes a hero. That's what I love. And also, she gets a happy ending in the end, which I'm so happy for her. Even though she can't remember the Doctor, which is sad. Also, there is the crossover between Sergei Vich and Torchwood in the Series 4 finale. Darrell Smith's return, now played by Julian Bleach, and there was a variety of guest companions as well, from Kylie Minogue to Lindsay Duncan. Russell and David obviously stuck around for a few years on the show. I'm divisive on this era personally, but I still think it's good, because if it wasn't about this, I would not be a Who fan now, so I really appreciate what they've done. Russell Studios obviously was announced to be leaving after the 2009 specials. At the NTAs, David announced he also would be leaving, and they both left after the 2009 specials on New Year's Day 2010, in The End of Time. Matt Smith was announced in 2000 as David's placement as the Doctor, and I loved his era. His Doctor had 3 companion actors that would stay on for 3 series. These were Karen Gillan, Arthur Dell, and Jenna Coleman. They would be joined by Mandy Gill in the Jodie Whittaker era. They were brilliant. The whole era was brilliant. There was a few catchphrases, for example, both ties are cool and Geronimo, and it continued this catchphrase thing that was going on in the previous eras. I remember Matt for his bow ties because he would always maintain they were cool, and I'm surprised that some of the covers wanted to get rid of it. I mean, he did suit it in his defence, but also what I loved was this hat situation, because with the fez, it was ridiculous, and everyone was wanting to get rid of it. Clara said, some days you should walk through a fez, something like that. And then Brother Song and Amy got rid of his first one. I mean, what? But he also had his Stetson, and I think that was that too. But the one thing that never came off was that top hat he wore with his tailcoat. I still love that look. Handsome in it. This era was great for a few reasons. Fairy tales, they took risks. Stephen Moffat brought Alex Kingston back as River Song and introduced something different and unusual, and used the Cross River for a big twist, as she was Amy Roy's daughter, who was forced to kill the Doctor. Still one of the most jaw-dropping storylines. Not perfect, but I still think it's good. And that cliffhanger, by the way, is my favourite, still my favourite of all time. There's, of course, they split Series 6 and 7 into 2 parts, which I liked the fact they did change it around a bit. There was the 50th anniversary, where Peter made a little cameo, Peter Capaldi, and there was the other Doctors as well. And plus we had Joan Hurt. And Joan Coleman acing it in her first year as Claire. Next is, of course, Peter Capaldi. Now, I know I had a bit of a rocky start with his era, nearly didn't feel like it, but I'm glad that I kept on, because his Doctor for me is one of the few that I actually can relate to. I think emotions were where I could see and talking about stuff, but he brought something unique. He was a gentleman, and I have a huge respect for British gentlemen. For example, Hu Yang, yes, David. Obi-Wan Kenobi as well. Yeah, a proper gentleman. I loved his relationship with Clara because it's one of my favourites. So he really felt brilliant with her. And also his attempts to try and turn Missy good. That was not a good result in the end, as you know. What Peter's era makes me realise is the fact that they managed to do some casting breakthroughs. They cast Bethany Black, Sophie Stone and Pearl Mackie. They all were going to represent their communities, and luckily this wasn't the end. They will continue with this, as I'll explain later on. But at that point it was a huge win because the casting were up in their game. They were casting people of different representations. It made the show stand out. 2017 saw the show's biggest casting yet. Jodie Whittaker would become the first female Doctor, and for the first time in years, she would be joined by 3 companions played by Bradley Walsh, Man McGill and Tosin Cole. These 4 mean a lot to me as they are one of my favourite TARDIS teams, and they have a huge place in my heart. As I said before, diversity would continue, not just with the castings, but behind the scenes as well. There was more female writers, more female directors. It wasn't perfect, but it was nice to see inclusion happen on the show. And I think the criticism that I've read, I understand and definitely agree with. Some of the highlights were they included a disabled companion in Ryan Sinclair who had to deal with his dyspraxia, and also the first same-sex Doctor companion pairing, which grew on me, but it ended up doing quite well for me, but I still say I wanted more. Also, there was Sacha Dhawan and Joel Martin playing, obviously, the Master and the Doctor, respectively, in a new twist, the Timeless Child twist, which it wasn't perfect, but yeah, I still think it's one of the best twists I've ever had. I have a little, I'm still coming soon where I'm going to be talking about that, but also explain why this and the Darksaber plot from the Star Wars franchise is good. So stay tuned for that next year. Also, there was Jacob Anderson and Frederick Graham, who I loved. They were amazing. I still miss this era because it gave me a new perspective and it allowed me to emote to the cast, which normally doesn't happen. So it was a huge win for me. I think there is a legacy that's still occurring, as I can see certain characters from the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian doing certain things from this era. Plus, Rosario Dawson and Natasha Leigh Bordizzo continuing what Jodie and Mandy left off, but in a more mentorship way in Ahsoka, and it was just nice to see them fill in the gap that Jodie and Mandy had left. But also it does it with other eras. For example, I see 10 when Din Djarin and Paz Vizsla, R.I.P. big guy, once again, R.I.P. made arguments on the way to help the people of Navarra in the pirate from the Mandalorian. Still an epic thing. David Tennant is now the Doctor with Catherine Tate as the companion again, and the next team is very, very young. It's Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson. It's been a journey over the past few years, but I'm hyped and ready for the new era and the show to continue. Plus, also, there will be more diversity, which we will see with Ruth Manley, Yasmin Finney, Peter McHale, Mary Malone and Jinx Masoon, and I can't wait for them. Next time I will be talking about why I love Doctor Who and going through from beginning to present day very quickly. I'm just going to bring some positivity and hoping to spread some love for the franchise as we celebrate 6 years of Doctor Who. Please stay tuned for that because it's going to be fantastic. So that's my Doctor Who journey. I hope you enjoyed hearing about it. What's your favourite Doctor Who moment from your own journey? Please comment down below and let me know. Also, you can contact me on @Phasm22 on social media, Twitter and Facebook. If you like this episode, please click that like button. And if you want to see more of my episodes, click on that subscribe button, hit the notifications, and you'll be up to date all the next episodes. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to Phasm and Jarrons. Please get in touch at Phasm22 on social media. If you love anything I do, please subscribe to the Phasm and Jarrons YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Subscribe to Phasm and Jarrons and stay tuned for more podcasts. See ya.